Okie dokie. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Taco Tuesday, adding the guacamole, which is all about extra credit. So, extra credit, let's talk about it. Extra credit in Canvas is completely different than it was in D2L. There are about 10 different ways to do extra credit in Canvas, and I'm going to show you the easiest ones because this is just a short little training session. But I've also got a document up in our knowledge base that I'm going to share in the chat, which tells you all the different ways to do extra credit. If one of these doesn't work for you, you can try one of those as well. So let me just share my screen here. Okie dokie. Let's get that out of the way. So we're going to be in the Webster Sandbox, your favorite place to be, again today. And as we all know, our grade book is controlled from our assignment window, right? And so if you want to add extra credit, we're going to do that starting with our assignment window. So the first and the easiest way to add extra credit is to add an extra credit assignment that is worth 0 points. So when we do that, you can see I have some extra credit here already, but I'm going to go ahead and add another assignment. And we're going to call this an extra credit paper. And we'll pretend that we put instructions for this here. And where it says points, you're going to put 0 points. This is the easiest way to add extra credit, is to make an assignment that's worth 0 points. Choose whatever assignment group you want that in. I'm going to add mine to labs because I don't think I have much in there. And it's going to display the grade as points. And for my submission type, I'm going to say it's online because they're going to submit a paper here. And so I want to file upload. I don't need the plagiarism review, although you can do that. And I'm going to put a due date and an end date on this extra credit. So it's due Saturday at 6, but by Sunday, I don't want it anymore. So you have until Sunday at 6 p.m. Oop, I'm sorry. Let's change that. We're going to make it available now because I'm doing the wrong thing here. We're going to make it available today and available until Sunday at 6 p.m. So that's the length of time that they have. So I'll save and publish this assignment. And so, like I said, this is the easiest way to do extra credit. So when you go back to your assignment tab, you'll see in my labs, there's now an extra credit research paper. And when you go to this, either in the grade book, you could do this in SpeedGrader if they submit a paper and you want to actually critique the paper and give them like, 9 out of 10 points or something like that for if it's up to 10 points possible. Or you can go directly to the grade book and find your extra credit research paper that you just put in and see how it's out of 0. So I can give you 1 point, or I can give you 9 points because I'm special, and those will average in. And so back in the assignment window, this is super important. One of the things that D2L allowed you to do is put a group in that's called extra credit and put all your extra credit assignments in that group. There's 2 issues with that. The first one is if you make the group worth 0%, then it doesn't matter how many points it has inside it. None of those are going to count, right? But if you put a whole bunch of things in the group and all the assignments are worth 0 points, and then you add the extra points in, it tries to do an average, a group average. And so it adds all the points up and then divides by 0, which equals 0. No extra credit is given. And so it's very important if you're using an assignment that is worth 0 points, that it be in a group with things that have points. So this homework extra credit here is worth 0 points, but everything else in this box has points associated, 10, 100, 100, 100. So whatever points are awarded here it will divide by 310 to get that average, which will give the student the extra credit. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause for just a minute. Does that make sense to everybody? Like I said, this is not the only way to give extra credit. This is the easiest way. And so I will go back in here. And when you look at, like, for example, this homework extra credit, it was due July 1st. We're going to change it and we can put our instructions in here.
Please share your screen again.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Teams hates me. Let's just, if it would just leave it alone, just leave my screen up. Here we go. Here's our instructions. Again, it's worth 0 points. And I've got this one as an extra credit homework assignment. And I've got it as a file upload, which means I would open it
Sorry,
in.
Sherry, sorry for interrupting you. What you are doing now is in the assignment inside each grade. So you are not putting the extra credit in one module itself, correct? It is within.
No, I'm creating an extra credit assignment. The whole assignment is extra credit.
No. This I mean, I know that, but this extra credit is within a group of assignment. So, for example, my syllabus is divided in weekly assignment, exam 1 and 2, participation.
Right.
So, are you putting the extra credit within one of these? So, within,
Yes.
for example, that was
Yes.
my question. Sorry. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
So
Sorry.
there's the homework. I'm putting it in homework. And again, for Dr. Akins, I don't have to have a file upload. If you are, for example, if your extra homework credit is because they attended some concert at MTSU or attended some speaker, something like that that you wanted them to do, you can put this in as a no submission extra credit. That means they don't turn anything into you. You just know that you're giving them points for something, whatever that is. But now I'm going to change the due date here on this so that we'll see it come up again, and we'll make it available until then. So even when you can still open this in SpeedGrader, but you won't see anything because you didn't ask for a submission. Okay. So when I go back to the assignments, I've got 2 extra credit things in here. I've got this one, homework extra credit, that does not require them to turn anything in. It may be, meeting you for a tutoring session and you're going to give them extra credit for that. And then when you come down here to labs, I actually have an extra credit research paper that I want them to turn in something, and I would grade that in SpeedGrader. All right. So, all right, let me pause again. And I see you have another question. Go right ahead. I don't want to mispronounce your name. Is it Gaia?
That's very good, Sherry. You're great.
Okay.
So the question is, if I put 0 points, okay, how do I? So I don't have any control over how much they got of extra credit for each bunch of things. So let me give you an example. In attendance and participation, the extra credit doesn't count as much as the participation. So the participation counts 10 over 10. The extra credit in D2L counted 2 over 10. So if I put a 0 point, how do I know? So it means that it's an extra credit, but is automatically Canvas that decides what is the percentage within the percentage of extra credit. Does it make sense?
Okay. Yes. So Canvas does automatically decide that, but it decides it based on the category that you have. So here in this labs, this is 20% of the grade. So if I only have 2 things in here, which is this one assignment and this extra credit, then this extra credit's going to be a bigger chunk. But I can give you like 5 points extra credit. So you would get, whatever divided by 100. But if you have 10 assignments in there, that's going to change that. And if you have different categories and the labs are 20% and the discussions are 10%, those categories can have separate extra credit assignments that count separate points if that's what you want.
That's correct. But for example, in the one of the labs, if you have labs that counts, if I'm correctly, can you scroll exactly 20%? If I have a no submission assignment, an extra credit, it means that the extra credit will count the half of 20% because I have
No,
only two.
no, it doesn't.
No, okay, that was my
No.
question. So,
Okay, no, that's not correct. Because each one of these categories, because I'm calculating them as percentage categories, what happens is all of the points in that category are added up, and all of the total possible points are added up, and they're divided. That's how you get that percentage. So if I have one assignment that's worth 100 points and one assignment that's worth 0 points, and let's say I get a 90 on this one and I get 5 extra credit points here, the total points that I've accumulated there are 95. So it'll be 95 out of 100. That's how Canvas
okay,
calculates this.
gotcha. So these fine points are calculated by Canvas, and I do not have to write down five
No,
points
you don't have to do a
anywhere.
thing. You have to
Gotcha.
give them the points that you want. So extra credit isn't magic here. If you want to give somebody extra credit, you're going to have to go into the assignment and add those points. You're going to have to write them in. So, like I said, for example, you can go here, you can do this in SpeedGrader. If you want to do this in SpeedGrader, you don't have to. You can go directly to the grade book, but see how it says grade out of 0, and I can say, well, I want to give them 2. And
Gotcha.
then that's it. And then I would save that grade. But you don't, you can also do it from the grade book view. It doesn't matter, but you still have to manually add the points because that's what extra credit is.
Okay, so that means that in the gradebook, it's better that we keep the column of extra credit as manual.
You have to. There's no other
You
way.
have to, yeah, okay, okay,
Yeah.
perfect, clear,
You're
it's
going to
clear.
have to put those in.
Yeah,
Okay. So I
thank you.
also shared, remember, there's lots of ways to do this. A second way to do this is if you have a quiz or an exam and you want to give someone extra credit on a quiz or an exam. So I actually went in and pretended to take a couple of quizzes as a student here so you guys could see that. Let me move your faces out of the way so I can see. So I'm going to open this quiz in SpeedGrader so you can see what I'm talking about. Lauren didn't submit, but my student account did. This is a statistics quiz, by the way, so I did terrible on it. But okay, so there are two ways inside the quiz that you can give extra credit as well. For one thing, each one of these, like I got this one wrong, but let's say, for example, you put a bad question in or you thought it was confusing and you want to go back and you want to give students extra points for this. It was worth 1 point. I got 0, but I can give myself or I can give this student self a point for that because the question was bad. Or maybe it's a written question and you had them compose a response in a quiz and it was a really good response and you'd like to give them extra credit. You can actually put more points in the quiz per question. So, for example, this one was an awesome question and I want to give myself an extra point there. I can do that. The last way, this is the second way, there's two ways that you can do this in a quiz. Second way is all the way at the bottom of the quiz. There's something called fudge points. Fudge points allow you to add points to the total quiz without giving them specific points for a certain question. So if I want to add fudge points, I want to give everybody, if I want to give this student 5 extra points, all I have to do is do that and update it. And that's going to change the grade in the grade book. And now that student got extra credit. You can see here it was worth 21 points, and I now have a 22 out of 21 points extra credit on the quiz. All right, I'm going to stop for a second because I see Gloria's got her hand up there.